Hello everybody, this is the Minority Programmers, and today we're going to give some clarifications about our upcoming election hackathon. So let's go to our updates page and the upcoming events, and right here you see the election hackathon happening on Friday, October 16th, ending on Sunday slash Monday morning, November 1st slash November 2nd, and this is the Sunday slash Monday right before the Tuesday U.S. presidential election, which some predict to have one of the most controversial outcomes in recent American history, especially with issues of voter fraud and election integrity going on in the mainstream media. So this is kind of where the confusion comes across. So in this election.devpost.com, this is the official platform for where this hackathon will be hosted. You can join with a DevPost account or link your GitHub account. And what the common confusion about the election hackathon is that in traditional voting hackathons, it's a weekend where cybersecurity specialists or penetration testers, general hackers, get together to hack current voting systems, whether it be a ballot machine at a local elementary school for the presidential election, and they see whether they can penetrate it and if there's any room for flaws in the system that we currently use. We are not asking people to do this. We're not even asking people to design a platform or an application, a web app, a website for our current U.S. democratic voting system. That's something that government contractors and IT consulting firms like CapTech or any one of our sponsors would do. We're not asking you to digitize the election. What we're asking you to do is consider all the problems with democracy and representation and dividing power amongst people, and design your own voting system accordingly, taking into these issues and considerations, and then hosting that on a web app, a mobile app, a website, so that people can see your new and novel voting system that takes into account all the problems of past voting systems and actually interact with it. And what I think is great about this is I don't think this has ever been done before. And in addition to that, when we originally designed our voting systems, we never had this technology in place. We never had apps. We had never had geolocation services. We never had two-factor authentication. There's so many technologies that weren't in place that if we had these technologies, our systems would be completely different today. So rather than re-outfitting old systems, we are actually designing our own systems. And we have examples of this all the way below, whether it's something like using geo-mapping and live time selection to do representative democracy, taking from mail-in voting where people mail in advance, where there's a system where you can update your vote and lock it in up until the election and then go back and then re-update before the deadline. There could be a blind dating system where instead of actually showing the candidates, you show the issues they care about and they vote accordingly with that, which would be hard to manifest in something other than an application. So another example or some issues to take into consideration based on what I said is whether your system will be a plurality system, a majority system, a proportional system, a mix of the two. How exactly will you implement direct versus representative? Are there certain issues that we vote on? Or are you even voting based on candidates? Or are you voting based on issues? Is it a mix of two? Do you elect people in bureaucracy based on their selections of the issues? This is entirely up to you. How is registration? How do you prevent from fraud and people frauding the system? How do you prevent how do you allow for prevention of fraud without making the barrier to entry in your voting system that might marginalize communities without access to education or access to resources? How about the time? When do you make the time available for voting? Should it be in a day? Should there be voting in advance? Should there be a pre-voting platform like I previously mentioned? Should it be remote? Especially with COVID, another concern is people don't want to go to the polling location. So how can you effectively have a remote voting system? Another thing is that disenfranchisement, especially in America, there are, I don't know, 1 or 2 million felons that are automatically disqualified to vote. There are age limits. Do only taxpayers get to vote? How do you kind of determine whether someone is a constituent or able to vote? This is another question that, again, fundamentally changes the voting system. And then here also goes into the idea of accessibility, not just the barriers to entry, but you have to take into account things like access to internet or even infrastructural challenges like in a electoral college system or representative democracy with things as gerrymandering and misinformation and voter suppression. How do you properly allocate representation? And I think that a lot of people will see that geomapping and geosystems could tackle this. Another thing is transparency. I don't want to show who I voted for because I might be, discriminated against based on that. But you want to be able to validate those votes with maintaining this anonymity. And then also you want to be able to show how the votes happen rather than just determining a winner. You want to be able for people and poll watchers to be able to verify these votes, but also visualize it in a way that it's easy to follow. So, example, this is Virginia's vote. This is a map of how it played out. And most importantly, I think, is that you can have a voting system in place, but if people don't know how to use it, then it's ineffective. So in this election voting system, you have to teach people how to vote, how to use the system, the information on upcoming elections, and all the while disseminating this information, you have to prevent the use of presenting this information in a biased way. And then there is the issues of cybersecurity, that although this isn't a cybersecurity hackathon, you have to take that into account. How exactly do you make your system secure? Where do you store the data? Is it centralized? Is it on a decentralized blockchain? What's the potential for your platform to get compromised? How do you maintain system integrity but also maintain anonymity on who you voted for? And you kind of see within all these categories there's overlap with cybersecurity, transparency, education, accessibility, and all that. So I think this is very important. And before you design a system for, unlike traditional hackathons, which are 2 days and a weekend, this is 16 to 17 days approximately, over 2 weeks. So you can actually build a platform that you care about, that employers have the opportunity to see, and that people in the community for the first time will have this visualization for this voting system. Because a lot of times people hear about ranked choice voting or pass the post or board account, but there really is no interactive visualization for this. So what's going to happen as a result of this is that in the judging period from November 2nd to I believe the 7th, this is the actual week that the election results should be happening. And if there's any type of controversy or any type of recount or any type of civil unrest that happens as a result of this hackathon will provide a bunch of working applications to alternative voting systems. And I think this is going to be a cool project. I think that anyone in the community should contribute their ideas on what makes it more fair and just voting system, and I highly encourage all people to actually get involved with this hackathon because this is one of a kind, and again, we never had this technology when we designed these voting systems. So good luck to everybody, and I wish you guys a great next month.